This time is for Caitlin Clark injury.
Is there a potential breakdown of trust between Caitlin Clark and the very people tasked?
Yesterday, Stephanie White said there is no timeline. By the way, Clark's meeting with her own doctors at this point.
Caitlin Clark is going to look at going to the doctors, pretty much insinuating that she's going to get her own doctor.
Caitlin Clark is now dealing with her third significant lower body injury.
Caitlin Clark just made a bold move, stepping outside the Fever's medical team to see her own doctors. Why?
Clark's meeting with her own doctors at this point. I do not blame her for that at all.
Caitlin Clark is going to look at going to the doctors, pretty much insinuating that she's going to get her own doctor.
Because she's lost faith in how the league's treating her. This goes beyond injuries. It's about trust, pressure, and a superstar being pushed too far. If you're 100% with Caitlin, drop a 100% for Caitlin in the comments. Let the WNBA hear us.
She's lost a lot of faith in the Indiana Fever regime.
And the pressure from the front office, from fans, and from a league that thrives on her star power, and the body trying to protect the weak left side overloads the right side until it breaks down.
This isn't just a few bumps and bruises. Caitlin Clark has been caught in a cycle of injury and re-injury that no rookie, let alone a generational talent, should ever experience in their first professional season.
Caitlin Clark is now dealing with her third significant lower body injury in just a few months of professional basketball. This looks like a pattern at this point, and it's raising fair questions about whether the team's approach. This isn't just about treating a muscle. It is about career preservation. The Fever were blessed with a generational talent, a player who could define their organization for a decade.
Let's look at the timeline. It started with a left quad injury on May 26th, followed by a left groin strain around July 5th. And just when she returned, she pulled her right groin on July 15th.
And the Caitlin Clark injury history: left quad strain, May 26th, left quad strain, July 5th, and right left groin strain.
In Indiana's 85-77 win over the Sun on July 15th and missed all of the All-Star festivities.
That's 3 lower body injuries, all on the same side of her body, within just a few weeks. And each time she came back, the injuries got worse. This isn't bad luck. It's a pattern, a red flag.
That's not random. In sports, it can be a classic sign of body breaking down under stress, where one injury creates a compensation that leads directly to the next. This isn't just a string of bad luck. This looks like a pattern that is a massive red flag.
And what makes it even more alarming? Caitlin Clark never missed a single game in high school or college. She was known for her durability and endurance. She was the engine that never stopped. And now, just months into her rookie season, she's missed 11 of her first 23 WNBA games. That's nearly half the season.
She went from never missing a single game in her college or pro career to suddenly being sidelined for 11 of her first 23 games this season.
Medical professionals who've reviewed her injury pattern are raising serious alarms. One called it a cascade breakdown, where one injury leads to compensations in the body, and that leads to another. It's textbook sports medicine. When one muscle group is hurt, the body shifts strain to another, and if you're rushed back before fully healing, you break again. And that's exactly what's happening to Caitlin.
Caitlin Clark is going to look at going to the doctors, pretty much insinuating that she's going to get her own doctor, bro. And that's the right thing for Caitlin to do, because at this point, Indiana Fever cannot be trusted. You know, these type of injuries and the way she's been getting these injuries is not normal. To have these strains back to back to back like this.
Even more disturbing is how the team kept using the phrase day-to-day to describe her status. But doctors disagreed. Multiple experts confirmed that groin strains, especially recurring ones on both sides of the body, are never day-to-day. They're week-to-week, sometimes month-to-month, and require specialized rehab. So why was the organization downplaying it?
Caitlin Clark pretty much kind of leaked out the bag to the team that she was kind of going to get a second opinion. All this day-to-day stuff is simply for the birds. The doctors themselves stated Caitlin Clark is going to be a week-to-week basis based on the MRI.
Was the goal to just get her back on the court as fast as possible, even if her body wasn't ready?
And the body trying to protect the weak left side overloads the right side until it breaks down. So this isn't a mystery in elite sports. This is sports medicine 101.
Fans were told everything was under control, but Clark's rapid decline, her multiple absences, and the fact that she's now seeing outside doctors say otherwise. The public story is caution, but the real story is a player being physically worn down and medically mishandled.
By the way, Clark's meeting with her own doctors at this point. I do not blame her for that at all. Is it just me, or is she's lost a lot of faith in the Indiana Fever regime?
And it's not just about losing games. It's about risking her future. Because if these injuries aren't managed properly, if the root causes aren't addressed, Caitlin isn't just missing this season, she's risking her entire career.
This isn't just about treating a muscle. It is about career preservation.
When a high-profile athlete seeks a second opinion, it means something's wrong. But when that athlete is Caitlin Clark, the most valuable player in the WNBA, the face of the league, and its biggest ratings draw, and she decides to bypass the Indiana Fever's medical staff to consult external doctors in New York, that sends a message.
They're rolling around on the floor. It's jump balls. These are the things I heard I was laughed at as I would advocate the coverage of women's basketball, among all the other things that I've been able to do, men's and women's, right?
Clark said in an event during All-Star Weekend, per Glamour, being a professional athlete, you really have to take care of both your body and your mind. It's been a journey learning about that.
A message loud enough that the entire league should have heard it. Caitlin Clark has lost faith in the system that was supposed to protect her.
By the way, Clark's meeting with her own doctors at this point. I do not blame her for that at all. Is it just me, or is she's lost a lot of faith in the Indiana Fever regime?
Think about that. Caitlin didn't quietly rehab behind the scenes. She flew out with the team, not to play, but to meet with independent specialists far from Indiana. And while head coach Stephanie White tried to brush off questions from reporters, her body language said it all. Tight-lipped, irritated, and clearly dodging the topic. When asked directly about Clark's health and her doctor visits, White could only say, "I haven't spoken to the trainers yet. No timetable, no clarity, no answers."
Caitlin Clark has, she hates the Indiana Fever or anything. But she has clearly lost trust in the Fever. There is no trust there between Caitlin. 3 to 4 weeks to be sure she doesn't get injured again, but to be 100% sure she needs, or 2 months. We're not doctors, we have no idea.
Behind the scenes, the truth was unraveling. According to multiple sources, Caitlin leaked to the team that she was going to get a second opinion. And that tells you everything. She no longer trusted that the Fever had her best interest at heart. She went outside the building, outside the control of team trainers. That's what top-tier athletes do when the team doctors have failed them.
Caitlin Clark pretty much kind of leaked out the bag to the team that she was kind of going to get a second opinion. Caitlin Clark is going to look at going to the doctors, pretty much insinuating that she's going to get her own doctors, bro. And that's the right thing for Caitlin to do, because at this point, Indiana Fever cannot be trusted.
And you don't just do that for a minor strain. You do it when you're scared something deeper is going on, when your body doesn't feel right, when injuries keep stacking up and the answers don't add up.
These type of injuries and the way she's been getting these injuries is not normal. To have these strains back to back to back like this.
Let's be clear. Clark has been injured 3 times in less than 2 months, and each time she returned too fast, only to break again. Medical experts confirmed what the fans suspected. The Fever's handling of her recovery has been dangerously flawed. One doctor even said, "Whatever the medical staff is doing right now is not enough." Another compared her condition to a bike with 2 flat tires. It can move, but it's going to crash.
Caitlin Clark is now dealing with her 3rd significant lower body injury in just a few months of professional basketball. She went from never missing a single game in her college or pro career to suddenly being sidelined for 11 of her first 23 games this season. This isn't just a string of bad luck. This looks like a pattern at this point, and it's raising fair questions about whether the team's approach.
And while the Fever kept selling fans on day-to-day optimism, actual specialists were calling it week-to-week minimum. warning that these groin strains, especially on both sides, are slow healing and high risk for re-injury.
As we talked about with the first one on the left side coming back after the quad, DaytoDay is not accurate for even a minor groin strain.
The biggest concern? The Fever seemed more interested in getting her back on the court for ticket sales and playoff chances than giving her the time and care needed to recover fully. Clark was pushed into an offensive system that didn't suit her strengths and forced to carry the load even when she wasn't 100%. The result? Her body broke down, again and again.
The new groin strain is not DaytoDay. She's already missing the All-Star game in the three-point contest. The question is how much more? We won't know until we know about the imaging details, which were not revealed. But in any case, it's not DaytoDay.
This isn't just mismanagement, it's neglect. Imagine being 22 years old, carrying the weight of a league, and realizing the very people tasked with protecting your health might be prioritizing the bottom line over your long-term future. That's where Caitlin is now, alone, frustrated, and finally taking control of her own career.
And this isn't just about treating a muscle. It is about career preservation. And when you see your body breaking down in a predictable cascading pattern and the response doesn't seem to be stopping it.
Her decision to see her own doctors is not just about pain, it's about trust. And that trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild, especially when the organization fails to acknowledge what went wrong.
Following this latest injury, the team confirmed that Clark is scheduled to see more doctors for further evaluation. On its own, that's standard procedure, but in the context of repeated connected injuries, it has led to widespread questions about whether Clark and her team might be seeking independent medical opinions. And let's be clear about what that would mean.
And let's not pretend this is normal in professional sports. In the NBA or NFL, when a franchise rookie suffers multiple lower body injuries in rapid succession, there are full investigations, rotations in medical staff, and a pause on return timelines. But with Caitlin Clark, silence, obfuscation, a rushed timeline, and vague updates. If Caitlin didn't take control of her own recovery, who would have?
You just don't see stuff like this happening in the NBA, NFL. Somebody come back from injury, 2-3 games, and they hurt again. This type of stuff really don't happen. It didn't get the same type of damn injury.
The Fever's job was to protect their biggest asset. Instead, they've put her in a position where she had to step outside their care entirely just to feel safe. That alone proves this story isn't just about a sore leg. It's about a superstar fighting for her own future.
And let's be clear about what that would mean. A high-profile athlete doesn't typically go outside the organization for medical advice unless they are starting to lose faith in the people currently in charge of their health, and is often seen as a quiet vote of no confidence.
And now, with her sidelined, the Fever look lost. Because Caitlin Clark is more than a player. She's the reason the team has fans, has airtime, has a spotlight, and they're watching her slip away.
There's no question the Fever need Clark on the court. At 12-12, they've struggled to maintain positive momentum. Check this out. And Indiana is 8.9 points worse per 100 possessions when Clark is on the bench.
Caitlin Clark's injuries are serious. Her mistrust in the Fever's medical staff is alarming. But beneath all of that is something even more dangerous. Something you can't see on an MRI or in a press release.
And this is where the story goes from concerning to deeply troubling. And you don't have to be a doctor to see the pattern, but it helps to understand the medical perspective of it, which I'll break down in a minute.
It's the mental and emotional breakdown of a superstar who's been carrying too much, too soon. Since the moment she stepped into the WNBA, Caitlin Clark wasn't treated like a rookie. She was treated like the savior, the ticket seller, the ratings magnet, the marketing machine. The one who would finally give women's basketball the mainstream buzz it's long deserved.
Is it just me, or is she's lost a lot of faith in the Indiana Fever regime? For Clark, the hardships caused by injuries are compounded by the burden placed on her as one of the WNBA's most visible faces. Obviously, I love playing basketball, but it can be stressful having so many eyes on you all the time during the season. You're just going game to game to game, she said. Clark made a larger point about the value of maintaining mental health.
And she delivered. She didn't just sell out arenas, she changed the landscape. From jersey sales to primetime TV slots, Caitlin Clark became the face of the league in record time. But what did the league, and more importantly, the Fever, do in return?
When you have an athlete or role model you look up to, it's easy to see them as always happy and living a glamorous life, but it's not always like that, she said. We go through the difficult things too. Being able to lean on people and tell them your frustration or that you're not okay is really important.
They gave her broken systems, poor rotations, no real protection, and a spotlight so hot it started to burn her from the inside. Let's start with what she's publicly said. During All-Star Weekend, when most rookies would be smiling ear to ear, Caitlin admitted something chilling. This is the first time I haven't felt like I have a young body. That's not just pain, that's weariness. She's 22 years old and already she feels broken. She went on to say, being a professional athlete, you really have to take care of your body and your mind. It's been a journey learning about that.
The physical and mental toll of the 2025 season has added up for the Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. Quote, this is the first time I haven't felt like a young body that can run around and sprint every day and just continue to do that, Clark said in an event during All-Star Weekend per Glamour.
That journey for her has come with more pressure than any rookie should face. But the league didn't slow down. The Fever didn't protect her minutes. Her coach, Stephanie White, kept benching her during critical stretches, even when she was heating up. As a shooter, Caitlin herself said, when you're hot, you want to keep shooting. But over and over again, she'd be pulled mid-game with no rhythm, no flow, and no explanation. These aren't just strategic choices. These are confidence crushers. And they send a message to a player who already has the weight of the world on her shoulders. We don't trust you to lead this team.
Stephanie White. So not only throwing that out there for the injury, but for the nonsensical times you decide to just throw her on the bench as she's warming up and she's getting hot, and it's like, oh, we can't have that. Let me get her. Well, she's coming out of the game. Wait, what? What's happening? Again, Caitlin Clark also over the weekend alluded to, as a shooter, if you get hot, you want to keep shooting.
Let's be honest. Caitlin isn't just trying to win games. She's trying to survive a system that wasn't built for her. The Fever's offensive scheme doesn't play to her strengths. She's a floor general, a high IQ shooter who thrives in space and movement. But instead, she's stuck in a rigid motion system with limited off-ball action, poor spacing, and teammates who miss screens and struggle to finish. She's been asked to do it all: create, pass, score, defend, and lead. All while battling injury after injury and media coverage that flips between praise and criticism almost daily.
I'm a little troubled by Caitlin Clark's comments. We've seen at times when she's played, she's looked very mentally tired and in general not very happy. I think part of that's wearing her down, and it should be a huge concern for Indiana Fever fans. I think she absolutely hates playing in this system that this coach is running. I think she hates it, and I think she's miserable, just to be real.
Caitlin Clark deserves better. Not just better protection on the court, but better care off it. She gave everything to this league: her talent, her body, her spirit. And what she got in return was pain, silence, and betrayal.
This time is for Caitlin Clark injury. A lot of people are speculating that Caitlin Clark injury could be much worse than expected.
The WNBA needed a hero. The Fever needed a franchise player. And the fans? We just wanted to watch her shine.
It's impressive how fired up that college fan base is and how they follow.
But instead of building around her, they broke her down. And now, as Caitlin is forced to seek her own doctors and fight for her own health, we're left asking one question: why wasn't she protected from the start?
Is there a potential breakdown of trust between Caitlin Clark and the very people tasked with protecting her career.
Caitlin Clark is going to look at going to the doctors, pretty much insinuating that she's going to get her own doctors, bro. And that's the right thing for Caitlin to do, because at this point, Indiana Fever cannot be trusted.
This isn't just about one injury. It's about a pattern. It's about a system. And most of all, it's about trust that's now been shattered.
By the way, Clark's meeting with her own doctors at this point. I do not blame her for that at all.
So if you're with her, if you believe Caitlin Clark deserves real care, real respect, and real support, drop another 100% for Caitlin in the comments. Let the WNBA know we see what's happening, and we won't stay silent.